Hey guys, Gaslighter Magic here, and if there's an ad on this video, it would be an actual miracle, because the language gonna get spicy, because this is no exaggeration the stupidest thing that the Magic the Gathering division of Wizards of the Coast has done since I started playing the game in 2013. This is so out of touch, tone deaf, and stupid that I probably didn't even need to tell you this, but it's coming from Aaron Forsyth, the single least deserving person of his position and job at a company outside of Nintendo Japan. This guy doesn't understand anything about the game, business, the community, anything. He just sits on Twitter and occasionally pretends like he knows how to do his job. I'll be honest, I don't even remember what his job is. He keeps shuffling him around and he still doesn't know what the hell he's doing. For God's sake, you guys are supposed to be crazy, psychotic socialist lefties. He's an old, white, rich male. How does he still work there by your own hypocritical policy? Oh, that's how. Okay, never mind. I forgot. This is coming from a company that doesn't hire black people. Even as contractors. In fact, especially as contractors. So this genius came out himself with also Billy Jensen, whoever the hell that is. For some reason, I probably wrote it because I'm not convinced after, following Aaron on Twitter occasionally and in the past, that he is a master of the English language. But he came out himself and put his name on this article, quotes some stupid poll from like November of last year, where he asked his ass-kisser followers, who are nothing but try-hard douchebag net-decking losers, what they want for Standard. Why they like it, why they don't like it, what they want fixed, that kind of thing. And like, what are you playing and why? That's right. A Twitter poll of only people who follow him. Wow, what a wonderful cross-section. In fact, you know what? Don't do a completely unbiased polling of MTG players because it's too hard to do. Find people who quit in the last 3 years and ask them why they quit. Those are the reason that you're losing money. Those are the people that you want back. You don't need to ask people who have been through this level of bullshit why they're still here. Clearly, they are a toxic, shallow piece of shit player with nothing better to do in their life. I would have quit Magic about 4 years ago if I didn't literally cover it and play it for a job. Pushed garbage, too many sets, too much complexity. That makes it impossible to play it outside of digital because you can't tell what the hell is going on. Too complex of rules, too many words on the cards, and too many products per year. Too long of a rotation cycle, too high of a power level, and too much I won because my deck, which completely suppresses any kind of creativity for deck building. So who did he poll? Who did he listen to? The worst slice of the community, which is about, I'd say 20 to 30% by my estimate. It's the people who show up to F&M. They don't care about fun. They don't care about enjoyment. They are not there to do anything other than win. They don't care who they piss off, who they drive away, who doesn't like their deck. Unless the store owner bans them, they don't give a crap. And they usually give the store owner the most money, so even if they resent them, they aren't getting rid of them. Unless your store has a spine, it doesn't want F&M to just shrink by 2 people every week until it's just the douchebags left. Someone who knows business, someone who knows what the hell they're doing. Those are the type of people who follow Aaron Forsyth, one of the least liked people at Wizards. That is not my opinion. That is a well-known fact. So I've said this in probably 30 videos over the last couple years. Here's how you fix Standard. Lower the complexity, lower the power level, ban more cards when they become immediately problematic, don't take so damn long to ban it, and have it be a fun, approachable, entry-level thing where my goal is to be able to build 50 different competitive decks and have at least a 40% chance of winning an F&M with it. 50 decks, 40%. I am not asking for much. Look at all the tier 1 decks right now and you tell me that if I gave you an hour, you could come up with something that would beat them 40% of the time. All of them, not individually, all of them. No assassin decks here. Unless your name is Desolator fucking Magic, I don't think you could do it. No offense. The state of things is a joke. How the hell are you going to be like, okay, I want to start with this archetype or maybe this, or I kind of like this. I'm pretty good at playing this. These couple cards go together. There might be something there. Oh, that's right. I have to play it around somebody running 80% control with an infect backend. Okay, well, there goes 90% of the ideas. It's bullshit. It is absolute bullshit. Oh, well, I've got this interesting idea. Oh, but Red Rush. Oh, I got this interesting idea for a deck. It's kind of mid-range, very powerful, very snowball-y, very high defensive, perfect balance, perfect CMCs, got it down to a science, and I can't beat shit with it. Because White Phyrexian Blitz, with a control backend, mono. Oh, I'd like to play this, but they stripped all the cards out of my hand and then dropped in a Phyrexian Obliterator. Oh, mono black though, I'll just exploit their weakness, which is nothing, because they can blow up enchantments now. Nothing is being done about the out of control power level, and this was all Chris Cox is doing. He said, sell more shit in the meantime. I want a promotion. I want to make everybody at Hasbro think that I'm so great so that I can get an even higher elevated position, and look where he is now. Now they're not even on the edge of the cliff, they're off the cliff. They're already falling, and they're like, oh boy, how do we correct this? Well, might as well cater to the morons still playing competitive standard in paper. And really, in paper, my ass. It's for Arena. Arena is where all their money comes from these days. He's covering this decision with the Twitter poll, okay? What's really going on is they have numbers where how many people leave Arena every time a rotation happens. I have similar numbers. I have graphs that I'm not supposed to have because they told people to stop tracking them via third-party tools. Well, you. I have them, and every time an overpowered shit set full of garbage cards, broken combos, and toxic archetypes comes out, the number dips, and then every time there's a rotation, the number immensely dips. Because then people are like, oh yeah, that's right, this is like MTGO, except you just take all my cards at the end. Oh, I could go play Historic. Oh wait, you guys ruined that by having 600 to 700 card jumpstart sets, and then anthologies, so you could just turn it into Commander, because that's all people play anyway. And then you were suspected of rigging the matchmaking in Historic and were forced to have the developers come out and admit it, in case you missed that post. They admitted that unranked Historic Brawl, the matchmaking is rigged and it's based on your commander. There's a hidden power level mechanic where they track the win percentages and it's a whole thing. In matches, the casuals against the casuals and the tryhards against the tryhards. I don't have a problem with that right up until I built a very, very silly, stupid deck that was actually 2 colors and then put in Kenrith as the commander. And I was like, why am I only getting up against tier 1 people when I have like a 10% win rate? And then shortly after, oh, it's because we rigged the matchmaking and you're running Kenrith. Oh, okay, that's fair. Well, f*** you. And I haven't played Historic ever since. F*** that shit. So what change did they make? I think you know at this point. If you made 7 minutes in and you're actually still wondering, let me just read their statement. Actually, I'm not gonna. Standard is now a 3-year rotation. That's right. More complexity, more interactions, a higher power level, more cards, and you have to wait longer for toxic shit to cycle out because God knows they're not gonna f***ing ban anything. These spineless, egotistical pieces of human garbage cannot, grow up, write an article that says, oops, we screwed up with the design of this card, and then do something about it. Because then they'll piss off the net deckers who are just getting free wins. And that's who they're catering to. Clearly. That's who follows Aaron Forsyth, and that's what he thinks the community is. They hang out with pro players, and they hang out on Twitter. That is the last people you should be listening to. Okay, so let's just break down what they want, what those people want. They sit there and copy the most powerful deck off the internet, driving up single prices, and then they show up with their $500 decks to F&M and beat actual children so that they can win a couple packs and win some of their money back. And then they get to have their little pro wannabe fantasy at the local level. Wow, good for you. What great work you did designing that deck. Oh wait, you didn't. Shut up. So they want Standard to be cheaper because the one thing is like, oh man, I'm dropping like hundreds of dollars per month on this, but I want to keep winning because I'm such a shallow, socially inept piece of shit that like props up my entire ego. So I want to keep getting the same, win rate with putting in zero effort with a bunch of overpowered garbage and copying other people's work, but I want it to be like half the price. So free wins, no bans, and I get it. Okay, you drop 3 bills on a deck and they rug pull you? Yeah, I get it. What has been my solution, guys? Do you recall what I've been saying for the last decade? Oh yeah, stop f***ing net decking then. If you see a deck on the internet, first of all, stop. But if you insist on doing that, in a deck building game, okay, then if this looks way overpowered and people are talking about this combo and everybody's pissed and everybody's like, get this shit on my game, and you build it, you go purchase that, and then you get rug pulled and you feel sad because you lost money. First of all, you, build the deck that beats it, and secondly, you really should have seen it coming. And that's why WOTC has been so soft on banning stuff lately, because the loudest, angriest, immature, just socially defective, net decking douchebag crybaby man children who sit on Twitter all day and praise WOTC for their political beliefs, and because it makes them get all tingly inside if Aaron Forsyth retweets them or replies because, oh, they got to talk to a celebrity. Celebrity my taint, okay, first of all, and secondly, get a life, get off Twitter. Also, oh, it's so sad to see that Elon bought your platform and now you can't just have censored replies that you're in your own little bubble. That's a shame. Oh, you get community notes that actually tell the truth? Oh, that's a shame. You get to hear the truth. That's terrible. Boy, that must be rough for you. But yeah, that's what these people want. That's what they constantly scream at WOTC that they want, where the casual players just play for fun, don't follow these freaks on Twitter. They have a life outside of Magic. It's like, yeah, they've been playing it for years. It's cool. They play it casually. They have fun, whatever. They do not give enough of a shit to write into WOTC, to take a survey, to respond to a Twitter poll by some nobody at WOTC that everybody hates. No, it's the weird cult followers that he keeps getting the feedback from, and it's 10 times worse for Mark Rosewater, who lives in his own little world. So that's what they want, the people ruining the game and ruining standard and ruining everything, the community, and they're screaming at WOTC, and then the people that don't even, WOTC doesn't even hear from them, is like the other 2/3 roughly of the community who probably already left the game. Because they're so sick of like, oh, my creativity, my idea, I want to play this card, this looks like fun. And they're just having zero chance of winning. They are out of there. They're playing tabletop with their friends, or they switch to Commander, they're just building silly decks, or they go play Limited with their own people, or just whatever. They're gone, and guess what? If they're not at F&M, they are under zero obligation to buy any of the new shit you come out with, because their deck's still legal. Why? Because you don't run their play group. You're only in charge of the douchebags. Now, if you would have driven them out or made them actually work for their wins, man, did the net decking douches around 2015 to 2016-ish, somewhere around there, man, did they stop showing up to F&M post-rotation when they lost all their good decks and anything landfall would win. This is around Origins. Anything halfway competent would win. Anything heroic would win. Anything tribal would win. You just pick a deck and you could win with it because there was not like 3 standout decks that just couldn't be beaten. You could build something halfway competent and just win with it, and they just like took the month off. They were showing up around that time, I think, with like mono red goblins, or I might be mixing this up because like there was Theros and there was Blue Devotion. I don't know. It all runs together. It was a million years ago. But like they were just getting stomped. It's very easy to sideboard around a Goblin Blitz deck. Very, very, very easy. But boy, did they complain about the $800 mana bases with Khans of Tarkir. That was fun. I told them to their face at the LGS from Hell, you don't have to build multicolored. There's perfectly good mono decks. And they said, oh, I only build stuff that's competitive in the meta. I'm like, well, I just came in second and this is a $20 deck. So what do you have to say about that? And they just mutter something under their breath and walk out. And then they go put their $1,000 trade binder in their $500 car and drive off with their muffler dragon. All right, that's the kind of people. Okay, we all know them. So what WOTC needs to do is do an exit survey and like, hey, I used to play Magic and I don't anymore. Here's why. Because do you know how much marketing dollars and effort and free product and just massive amount of staff time and play testing, well, they used to, and development time and all this stuff goes into acquiring a new customer? Yeah, it's mostly friends teaching friends because like that's cool, but that's the other thing. Would you teach a friend to show, like, would you show them Magic right now and teach them Magic from scratch with the state of standard right now and start them off playing standard? And would you teach them 500 other mechanics in your Commander deck instead? Is that easier? It's a no-win situation. You either got to find somebody who used to play Magic and get them back into it, or you just don't introduce somebody to the hobby at all. It is too unapproachable, too annoying, too toxic. The deck archetypes are annoying to play against. They're not fun. Nobody would pick up this game from scratch right now. Nobody. And to pick up Arena costs you about $300. You want to build a good baseline with enough wild cards to build like 3 moderately competitive decks? Yeah, you're looking at about 3 bills. And even that number's a little low from what I've seen on Reddit. So the amount of new people coming in is 0. Why don't you focus on, well, one, that, and then put some other crew on why are people leaving? And I love when people are like, I just can't afford it anymore. Yeah, that's because the people you voted for ruined the economy. But if you had the option and you still had a job and you're like everything your grocery bill didn't just equal your Magic spending, and so you're just forced out, we all know you would have kept dropping $500 every single month on Magic cards to keep up with whatever decks you can eke out a little 3% extra win. You're pathetic, you're stupid with your money, and that's why you're poor. Hate to break it to you, you stupid net deckers. So everyone's like, oh, I had to quit Magic because it's too expensive, like every couple of weeks. Yeah, every 18 weeks. Well, really when's rotation? Once a year. But realistically, when a new set comes out and undermines the one before it and ramps up the power level, or just outright attacks the mechanic that was in the last set. That was the trick they used to do, by the way, in case you're new to the game. They used to do that. They would undermine the, like, if it was big, wide creatures, tribal, and mono, they would have, like, multicolored kind of control sweepers. And then if it was, like, all mid-range and slower, it was, like, slow build-up, 3 CMC and up and nothing under 2 was playable. Well, then the next set would have a blitz deck. And then, well, you had to buy that or you couldn't win anymore. So that's, they would do that, and it's only slightly more honest than just ramping the power level up every single set, but at a certain point, you get me winning on turn 3 on Arena, live on stream, you guys saw it. Which is a big improvement over me winning on turn 4 consistently with my double strike blitz deck from hell, as seen in the last video, which is getting a record number of views, shockingly. Spoiler alert, they haven't put a lot of effort or time into the code security of Arena. Oops. So they've just hit a wall. There's nowhere to go from here. Now people are just like, well, if we're going to play that power level, I'll just go play some Eternal format. I'll just go play Modern. I'll just go play Commander. Or I'll just completely escape your stupid rules and you refuse to ban any of these like 10 cards that need to be removed from Standard immediately. Like Liliana and Phyrexian Obliterator, among others. I mean, I still want, what is that? Hallowed, whatever the hell, the Spirit Generator based on enchantments, whatever the hell that is. I should know it's in my new deck. I'm going to show it off tomorrow. There's cards like that they're so narrow you can't play around with. They're too fast, too early, too good. And the too fast, too early, too good is now like their basis for designing cards because nothing else will compete. They tried a low-powered set that didn't have very competitive cards in it. It was called New Capenna. And that flopped so hard. So their solution is to up the power level by adding roughly another, 1,000 cards to the... way more than that, actually. No, it's closer to 2,000 cards, I think. Well, every set's a different size is the whole thing, but roughly doubling the standard pool, or slightly more. More cards in the pool, more potential interactions, more broken, dirt cheap, legendaries, mythics, and stuff like that. Okay, so you get more powerful decks with more cards to choose from. That's why I said they need to rotate twice a year. They'll make more money. All the net decking people can whine and bitch and then continue to play the game anyway. And then people will come back because the power level's low enough that in a deck building game, you can actually build a deck. So they're so scared of like, this person said they left because they're sick of like the oppressive decks that you have to play them to win and they want to build what they want to build. And they just go, amateurs, casuals, what are they doing? They don't take the game seriously. You take your $30 deck and go home. You don't spend any money. These people that drop $500 on a brand new deck, okay, those are our customers because they're 10 times as valuable as you. Oh, except that I bought more sleeves and I built 10 decks because I like deck building. So even though they're lower powered and then I switch it up and I make a better experience for everybody, and then now you have 10 people instead of 2 people trying to recruit their friends to play. And yeah, they just don't understand how math or business or marketing or their own game works or their own community. It's clear. And even if they did, Hasbro wouldn't let them. They would say, why are you doing this? Why is everybody mad? Although obviously the D&D department didn't get that memo, but at least MTG, they've been around long enough that it's like they should get this at this point. But if they lowered the power level, said we're rotating now, we're banning 15 cards, we've gotten to a place where we don't like it and we're fixing it. One time rip the band-aid off, sorry, let's move on. Let everybody whine and moan and complain and bitch about it and pretend they're going to leave the game, then show up to F&M the next day, okay? Because that's what these net decking addicts live for. If they want to go beat, like, mentally deranged people at Yu-Gi-Oh! Or actual literal children at Pokemon and Lorcana, then go for it. Good luck with that, finding enough people to play against. Or having their parents not, like, bitch you out and beat your ass in the parking lot. I've heard stories. And then the rest of us can come play a nice, comfortable, low-powered format. And what do you do after you get a little bit sick of that after a couple of years? You play Modern. You elevate. You step up. You play Commander. You start playing the more complex stuff. You start playing with older cards. You start getting into Draft. You elevate. So, or you could stay at that level, and the bare minimum, at least they have you as a customer. At least you're a person in a seat at F&M telling your friends about it. And you're keeping the store open. And you're pumping up the numbers and making the game community numbers look really impressive for the stockholders. Like, you gotta play the long game. And they went, no, short game. Chris Cox said short game. Hasbro said they want more money. So they decided to fix it, and they released 4 low-powered sets in a row and then rotated once and then rotated again, which is what it would take, mathematically. Their sales would be so trash for a year as people are like, well, why do I want any of these cards? They're worthless. The box EV is $50 and none of them are competitive. Yeah, because they're resetting the power level. Everything that came before it is what you want to play with. These cards, useless. but it would reset the power level. That's why I said they're going to fundamentally change standard. This has been the worst kept secret ever, but what nobody knew is what they were going to do about it. Never in a million years did I think they were going to lengthen standard. I thought they were going to limit legendaries to 2 per deck. I thought they were going to limit the mythic numbers. I thought they were going to reclassify control cards as control cards and say no more than 12 per deck. I thought they were going to limit standard to 2 color. Think about that for a second, what that would do to the power level. Oh, you want to play a 3 color deck? Go to a different format. A more expensive, more difficult format that you spend more money on and support the stores and support Masters reprint sets. So on top of everything they've done to beat up the community, listen to the wrong people, and just only keep the toxic people who really don't benefit them in any way except for short-term gains and money right now, just because Hasbro keeps hitting them up for more money like they're the piggy bank, and if you look at their financial statements, that is absolutely what is going on in that relationship. They've also ruined the economics and the reputation, all that, where even investors are calling them out saying, you are printing stuff to death, your new stuff, like special frame and trim cards, they mean nothing. Full art lands, meaningless. They have, as soon as they latch on to one thing that's a little bit popular, instead of like, well, let's not overdo it, let's not get nuts with it, they're like, oh, money, and then they burn it to the ground as quick as possible, gobble up all the money as quick as they can, and then try to move on to the next thing, which is 10 times as egregious. What do we get? Set boosters, collector's boosters, 7 different versions of a card. Ooh, limited edition. Well, now limited edition is good enough. Serialized cards. Look at the progression. Look at what's going on here. You'd have to be blind to not figure out what they're doing. So now even the investors are saying, okay, I'm done with this. It's pretty clear what direction you guys are going. You blamed COVID for 2 years and convinced the stupidest of the investors who don't really know what's going on that, no, everything's fine, it's just COVID. Now what's your excuse? Now why is nobody tuning into Twitch? Now why is nobody buying your secret layers that you come out with like one new one a month, which are no longer special, and people aren't like climbing over each other to buy them like those stupid mythic editions, which was equally egregious. And they've got all the excuses in the world, but at the end of the day, they don't care. Hasbro doesn't care if you have perfectly legitimate excuses. They care if you have money to hand them when they show up and need more of it because they ruined their business because of poor management and poor acquisitions. Oh, and woke politics that absolutely shreds them and has customer boycotts. Well, that's their own responsibility. How are they going to fix it? Well, they didn't buy Wizards of the Coast for nothing. Piggy bank time. Shake, shake, shake. Or shake it. Get the hammer. So just for context here, let's just read, I think I made my point clear about what direction they went and what everybody with a brain wants them to do to fix it. Let's read the whole statement from Aaron and Billy. Standard is and has long been vital to thriving local gaming stores. Regular play, a robust competitive tabletop scene, local metagames. Oh, that exists, yeah, because the internet doesn't. And that cheeky, friendly, competitive edge. No, assholes is what they mean. Assholes. Is infused into so many local game stores that when Standard struggles, stores take note. Yeah, people were dropping Standard 5 years ago just playing whatever they wanted. Even in the context of Magic, growing leaps and bounds over the past few years, Tabletop Standard hasn't kept pace. Commander has grown tremendously. More and more players are enjoying Pioneer and Modern. Wrong, there was just this huge thread shredding Pioneer because it's non-interactive garbage and whoever goes first is going to win, the end period. And Standard sees more play on Arena every day than individual games in any other format. Oh, at least they admitted it. I actually really did not think they would, and I didn't read this, by the way, ahead of time. By the way, that's why the power level is higher, so that games can be shorter, because that's the number one feedback they got from Arena, allegedly, that's the rumor, is people want games to be shorter, and that's why they did best of one instead of best of three, and that's why they don't care about sideboards, and that's why they fundamentally changed how Magic works and how Standard works. The overwhelming majority of this decision was made so that Arena players can hang out of their cards for an extra year. It's just that simple. There's nothing else to it. Because nobody's touching their stupid other formats. What is it? Alchemy and Historic and Explorer. And now they barely even have developers to make the damn game. So they're just trying to make this last one more year until they can leave or retire or who knows. This is not a fix. This is not a turnaround. This is a last-ditch effort to get the little tiny bit more additional funds out of everybody before it all comes crashing down. And the 2024 election is in their heads. Every single brainwashed liberal moron knows what's going to happen in 2024. So they think if they can make it one more Christmas bonus, they can make it one more year until that shitstorm hits. Well, then they're fine. One more paycheck for them, and then they can go work somewhere else or retire. And the execs could all, give Hasbro the fingers as they golden parachute out the window. So anyway, they go on with, it concerns us when tabletop standard gets left behind despite Magic's tremendous growth. There has been a tremendous anti-growth. They have lost millions with an S of active players. I have the proof they are lying. Time and time again. Oh, I guess they could mean financial growth, but that's not growth. I mean, is that what you would say? Like they've got less players paying them more money. Oh, that's a good thing. Wrong. Time and time again, we've heard from players and local store owners that they believe a healthy, well-liked, well-attended standard is still incredibly important to their experience and their success. Lately, we've been doing more asking and listening, no you haven't, to assess how we can keep standard, help standard, whoops, Freudian slip there. And we've been putting together plans to do just that. It helps that standard is once again gaining traction as a fun format. Prove that, citation needed. I'd love to hear any metric that says standard is doing better. What, after the last rotation where we finally flushed out a bunch of broken shit from, Eldraine and Keldheim? Well, we're back there and more, so, nope. The lowered power level was a little bit enjoyable right up until it wasn't. So, let's see. A fun format showcased in Pro Tour March of the Machine this very weekend. Yeah, it's lots of viewers on that one. Just kidding. Nobody watched it. Nobody cares. But we also recognize we need to make more public commitment to standard and competitive tabletop Magic. No, nobody enjoys or interacts with the tabletop scene, and the majority of their money, and they'll even admit this, active players' money, sales, any metric, it's about 9 to 19 million, they said, players, are tabletop casual. They don't know what competitive is. They don't care. They don't watch it. They don't aspire to participate in it. They just buy new cards and new decks once in a while. That is where the majority there, it's like the silent majority. The even more silent majority, the slightly lesser crowd, is the casual but serious, you don't have to win. You're playing for fun. You're going to hang with your friends and you like deck building, but you don't have to play the number one deck, but you still enjoy winning. And then you get the loud, screechy, immature, just toxic pieces of shit, net decking, ruining everybody's good time, running mill decks, running control decks, running tier 1 decks. They don't care. Unless they get punched in the face, they're coming back. So the whole, we need more competitive. No, your dream to have this fanboy, we rigged it and gave people free buys so we have the same people win all the time and look the other way when they sit there and cheat their ass off. That kind of blew up in your face because, as it turns out, we're not f***ing stupid. I guess they forgot we're Magic players. So yeah, esports and competitive, that's dead. The commitment to standard and competitive tabletop, yeah, shut the hell up. That died and should have been left dead after COVID, and every single person running tournaments dropped out. Quite literally. Channel Fireball and, what's that other one with the angry racist judges? That one. So now they're just parasiting off other people's events and calling them pro tours, so, okay, we'll see how long that lasts. But yeah, renewed commitment to competitive, yeah, shut the hell up. As such, we'll be rolling out multifaceted plans over the coming months to do so. Today is step 1. That step is we're going to extend the life cycle of all cards in Standard by 1 year. Starting with the current Standard environment, sets will rotate out every 3 years rather than every 2 years. I thought it was 18 months. I didn't think it was 2 on the dot. Well, okay, they're making a broad statement, and that doesn't take into account when in the cycle it was released. So actually, I'm right and they're wrong. But anyway, this means that with the release of Wilds of Eldraine, can't wait to go back to Eldraine, there will be no standard rotation for this year only. The following year, in 2024, Innistrad Crimson Vow, Innistrad Midnight Hunt, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, and Streets of New Capenna will rotate out of Standard. So we figured out that 8 and 9 is too damn many. And then they crammed 5 into 1 year once. That was fun. That was a great experiment. Now they're like, let's add 4 to that. That'll help lower the power level and complexity. That'll make it more approachable and the cards and singles more available. They're going to have to do a reprint set in the middle of Standard and call it Standard Masters. I ain't buying cards from 3 damn years ago. You know what a mythic staple that you can't even open anymore in a set that's not even in print anymore is going to cost? You're out of your damn mind. And the answer is, on Arena, they're all equal and all cost wildcards, so who gives a shit? That's what they don't want you to know. If you appreciate me cutting through the bullshit and giving you the truth, I've been doing it for years. Just coming up on, if I would have deleted the videos, 45 million views, by the way. And yet, my absolute bombshell video, the last one that's exploding, has a 15% CTR, which is pretty good. That's insane on YouTube. My casino vid, 18.5, formerly 21. My gun video on my 4th channel? I don't even know, but it has 90,000 views on it, I think. Look, I know where I'm focusing. I ain't going anywhere. I'm going to keep covering this shit, but I'm only going to make a video when it's merited, unlike the absolute, twice daily drivel I used to put up. No offense to myself or anybody who subscribed back then, but yeah, my content wasn't as good like 3-4 years ago. It was more, hey, I'm doing this full time and need money. Like that was more like, instead of I have an idea or this will actually be a good video that'll get views. So apologies for that, but now, I mean, I would double down on subscribing to this channel because it's only going to be shit you need to know. It's only going to be stuff worth watching. And the occasional comedic shit post. So anyway, they go on to say, I actually didn't know there was more than one step here. Like I said, I haven't read this. MTG Arena will follow this change for standard, but not for alchemy. What? Okay. Didn't see that coming. And then they're like, you want more details? Get the hell out of this article. They're separating that one. They're just going to drop that one and run like a stink bomb in an elevator. Anyway, our intent with this change is not to overshadow any of the amazing growth Commander, Pioneer, Modern, and other formats have seen in recent years, but we want to force people to play rotating format because it costs more money. Oh, sorry, I misread that. It says, instead giving players more reasons to engage with Standard. That's pretty much what I said. Extending the Standard rotation to 3 years will, we believe... I love how they put that in. Achieve 2 main points and an additional benefit. Oh! Is more money the benefit? That can make tabletop standard more enjoyable. Well, it's certainly going to make it less enjoyable. Will it in the short term increase your sales? And the answer is absolutely not. Letting people keep their overpriced lands a little bit longer and their $20 mythics a little bit longer when every time you release a new set it undercuts the deck, makes it not competitive, and they have to rebuild it anyway, is not a solution. It's bullshit. So number 1, this will give standard cards more longevity. Yes, that is literally mathematically what you did. I'm not even going to read what they wrote under that header. It is so insulting. Number 2, it will allow mechanics and archetypes to be more effective, more effectively built on over time. I'm like, more effective over time? No, you keep upping the power level. Yeah, if they did open-ended stuff instead of really narrow stuff, okay, like Constellation, it's just any enchantment. Something about creature ETB. Well, any creature. A couple cool cards that boost flying. Well, now, I mean, you're going to have flyers in every set, so open-ended stuff, they're not wrong, but the net result is more powerful decks, and nobody wants that in standard. Nobody wants or needs more powerful decks. And nobody wants to play against the same stale, boring, repetitive bullshit for longer than even one set release, let alone one rotation, let alone 3 fucking years. Nobody's going to tolerate this unless you get crazy aggressive with the bans, and it sounds like you're listening to the people that throw a little hissy fit on Twitter every time a ban happens. Because now they can't run their free wins deck anymore that's at 60% of the meta. Because, they're the only one that matters, f*** everybody else. And the third point is it also gives us stronger tools to create an environment where decks are more colors and mechanic, like green-white toxic. I love how that's the first example. Or blue-white soldiers. It's blue-white knights, you morons. And less mid-range. Excuse me, did you just write that you want less mid-range? I get it, you want faster, stupid 5-minute matches on Arena for dumb ADD kids with their parents' credit cards. That I'm aware of that, but I didn't think you were allowed to come out and just say less mid-range. We want faster, more overpowered bullshit for shorter games so that people can get their daily wins, continue to give us money, and to go play a game they actually enjoy. Because otherwise, if they play Arena for 2 hours a day while trying to get a win the honest way to get their dailies, well, then they might just quit, so we want to prevent that. What an absolute crock of shit. They even say with a larger card pool, the format can handle bigger swings with entire decks seeded at once. They spelled it S-E-E-D. I think, did they mean C-E-D? I don't know what they're talking about. Whatever. I assume it's a typo. So we believe this will give standard more stability. Wrong. More vitality. Wrong. And strengthen it for local game stores. Wrong. Our attention toward improving standard experience won't be ending there. To help ensure standard thrives at local game stores, we'll be rolling out a multi-step plan to support and revitalize standard tabletop play. What, competing with the stores on Amazon and putting them out of business? Or focusing on Arena and screw the stores and you're lying? It's one of those two. While later steps are still in the planning stages, we feel it was important to share this change as early as possible once our plans around rotation were locked into place. I bet you that I hired some purple-haired freak, some 20-year-old moron fresh out of college with a useless degree, who says, let's feature people in oppressed groups like tiny little minority groups like the 52% women on this planet. Oh wait, I forgot, liberals hate real women. So trans people who play, and then like have like a picture feature thing where we tweet out a photo of them if they win. Woo, that'll get the people in the stores. I mean, it won't. Sorry, but Russian bots and Chinese influenced, brain dead, brainwashed teenage morons on TikTok don't come to your store. Okay, sorry. They might pretend to live on the internet and they might be 1/3 of Reddit, but they ain't got a wallet and they ain't gonna spend money. Sorry, because they don't exist. So pandering to the left, I guarantee, is what they're gonna do here. I can't imagine. What else? Bigger prizes? Better giveaways? Let me just tell you. The tryhard assholes showed up in the highest numbers I've ever seen when they were giving away $20 promos for F&M. When they found out that like, oh, this week, this month, whatever, is this card, and then they share decks with each other, so it's like, okay, they weren't like, everybody got to show up, we need these chances at, there's $200 worth of prizes, it's crazy. Oh, and the amount of people getting caught cheating went up, and that was very awkward, because you're going to kick out me, who caught them, or they, who, buy 2 boxes every time they come out. Because one makes you look like an asshole and can make everybody leave, and one is, $1,000 walking out the door. Maybe don't have more expensive prizes, so I can't imagine what they're planning that would possibly work. I'll just tell you right now, I don't care what it is, it won't. They're wrong. Without even seeing or knowing what it is, they're wrong and it won't work. I'm sure it's going to be week-to-week tournaments, and probably after all this bullshit about standard, it'll be like supporting some kind of non-standard thing. Like that was really popular, actually, kind of, with a couple of speed bumps, but still, where they did this like add a pack every time you lose and you keep your deck at the store thing, and then you come back every week, and like the winner was after a couple weeks. People freaking loved that. Why? Because it was a fairly level playing field, and you got to play catch up with extra packs and add them and rebuild your deck every time you lost. That's about as close to the Keyforged, what was it, the chain or the link system or whatever the hell they called it, as Magic has ever gotten. It was the fairest tournament they have ever ran. It was more fair, obviously, than just, oh, look at my god tier pool that I totally didn't add cards to. Or a draft where you need like actual skill. And you could still have, the idiots to your right pass you a bunch of cards in error, or 4 people stubbornly try to play white and then you all 4 lose. I really don't like draft. There's a lot of fundamental problems with it that make it very unfair. And if somebody claims they do well all the time, it's because one way or another, they're probably cheating. And yes, people cheat at drafts on Arena, the quick draft, and the in-person one. They've been cheating the same way on MTGO, and they cheat with paper too, with where they sit and who they bring, and by planning it ahead of time and adding cards. It's just, they got to do something about the cheating. So they can't lean on like actual fun, allegedly fair and balanced, level playing field format. So what are they going to do to have people come back and play standard at a game store? I am completely at a loss. Nothing will work. Have a junior league? Have no tryhards allowed league? I've actually heard of that. There's actually other TCGs that do that. And it's not just like, oh, dumb kids. No, there's some kids and teens that are probably smarter than you. So it's not an age thing. It's not an experience thing. It was more like casual versus competitive, and you weren't allowed to play quote unquote tier 1. I've heard of that. Very, very, very popular and successful, by the way. You can keep the net deckers in their own little zoo where they can play the little mirror matches and bitch at it and then give up and leave. And then have like the next day or at a different table or a different section, you have the casual no tier 1 allowed, and you just make up your own ban list. There are more than a couple stores that started doing that a couple years ago, and it was incredibly popular. Maybe they'll have people do that. It still wouldn't want to make new customers play standard, so at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You need new customers to like stop the bleeding from the ones leaving. Nothing is going to fix that. 3-year standard ain't going to fix that. It's going to make it worse. You made the cards more expensive, harder to get, and now you have to consider like at least 33% more cards when building a deck, which is a massive pain in the ass. Oh, they needed to make it 6 in cycle, 6 max cycle it, done twice a year. And then play extended for the tryhards. It was so fucking obvious what they needed to do to fix this. If you're not familiar, extended was the precursor to modern, arguably, and it was standard like ×2, roughly. So whatever the standard rotation was, double it, and then that was extended. People played that because like, oh, I want to play my old cards and I want a higher complexity. And then people who played that. People who played standard played that, and the lower power, more approachable one was standard, and all was right with the world, and they gained about 10 million new customers, not even joking. 2013, 2014, that's when it was. So they close this absolute horseshit article with the rest of the plan is currently undergoing iteration. So they're just like, oh, we're just going to do this to appease the dumbasses on Twitter and hopefully it sticks. And I don't know, we'll figure out the rest later. It's not even we're keeping it under wraps for now. It's undergoing iteration. So they don't even have part 2 of the plan. Boy, is that telling. Starting part 1 before the full plan's in place or developed or finalized. Wow. You try that shit in IT and I will take the SDLC, print it out, shove it up your ass, and then kick you out the door and fire you. System development lifecycle. You better have planned that shit ahead of time in its entirety and rolled it out in a logical way. But anyway, while we work on that, we want to hear more from you! Exclamation mark. Tweet at us at PlayMTG, write this down, or at Wizards_Magic. Join our Discord discussion, oh, that'll be civil, and come share your thoughts as long as they're not political in any way conservative. Oh, I misread that. It actually says, space. During the future episode of Weekly MTG on May 16th. Oh, oh my God. If they turn on live chat, that is going to be the most toxic radioactive, like FEMA's going to show up to that and deem the chat a super fun site. That should be entertaining. Can't wait to report on that. Holy shit. Now for my blood pressure, I'm going to pretend that they didn't do this and it was all a bad dream. F*** you, Wizards of the Coast. I'll see you guys next time.